I should have known something was off that day. The sky was heavy with clouds, and even though it wasn't raining, there was a thick, oppressive feeling in the air. I was sitting in my usual spot near the back of the school bus, staring out the window. It was late afternoon, and everyone was tired after a long day of school. The usual chatter had died down, leaving a strange silence that felt unnerving. Our bus driver, Mr. Edwards, was an older guy, always grumpy but reliable. That day, though, he wasn't behind the wheel. Instead, a man I had never seen before was driving. He wore a hat pulled low, covering most of his face. His eyes, the little I could see, were darting between the road and the rearview mirror, scanning all of us constantly. I felt a knot form in my stomach. Something wasn't right. About 10 minutes into the ride, the bus took a turn I wasn't familiar with. We were headed into the woods, far away from the main road. I looked around. Most of the other kids were either asleep or lost in their phones, but a few others were noticing it too. Whispers began to spread, panic starting to grow in the air. I stood up and walked to the front, trying to get a better look at the driver. "Excuse me, but aren't we supposed to be on Highway 13? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The driver didn't respond. He just glanced at me through the mirror, his lips curving into a chilling smile. That's when I noticed the dark stains on his shirt, the ones he was trying to hide under his jacket. Suddenly, he slammed on the brakes, throwing everyone forward in their seats. A couple of kids screamed. The doors hissed open, and the driver turned to us with a knife in his hand. "Everyone out," he growled, his voice low and menacing. Panic erupted. Kids were scrambling out of their seats, pushing each other to get to the back exit. I was frozen for a moment, staring at the glint of the knife, before my instincts kicked in. I grabbed the emergency window lever and shoved it open, climbing out and hitting the ground hard. I felt the impact jar my bones, but I couldn't stop. I had to run. As I sprinted through the woods, I could hear the other kids screaming behind me. The driver's heavy footsteps crunched the leaves, and his breath sounded ragged, closer than I thought. I didn't dare look back. I stumbled onto an old dirt road, my lungs burning, and saw headlights coming toward me. Desperate, I waved my arms, trying to get the car to stop. It slowed down, and I saw the familiar face of Mr. Edwards inside. Relief washed over me as I clambered into the car, locking the doors behind me. The last thing I saw before we sped off was the murderer, standing in the road, watching us with a look of pure rage. I don't know what happened to the others.